Do you have poor energy? Do you want big results with little effort? You want to maintain your income, you want an advantage over your friends or competitors, but you're stressed, worried about burnout, you're worried if you can look after yourself and your family in the long term. If so, I get it. I've had these struggles over the years as well. This one thing though I have found gives you superpowers and a huge advantage over everybody else. Well, what is it? It's sleep. But hang on a minute. These days, most people are underslept. Technology, phones, computers, TV, artificial light at night has meant that there is an epidemic of sleeplessness out there. So if you are getting enough sleep, you're at a huge advantage over everybody else. You will think quicker, you'll have more energy, your reflexes will be better, and your mood and your mental health will improve. Sleep makes no sense from an evolutionary point of view. When we're asleep, we're an easy meal, but every animal does it, which goes to show how important it is. Even ants sleep. Queen ants sleep for 9 hours a day. Where the poor worker ants, they have to take small naps constantly, but they do get 8 hours over a 24-hour period. Some animals who are prone to predation have even developed these crazy methods of sleep. So some animals can sleep with half of their brain only while the other half is awake, which means they literally sleep with one eye open. So dolphins are an example of this. Another example of birds. So birds that are in a flock, they're sleeping, some birds sleep on the ground. Interestingly, the birds in the middle of the flock sleep with both sides of the brain, where the ones on the outside will sleep with one half of their brain asleep, with the eye open looking out for predators, and the birds on the other side of the flock will do the opposite. They'll have the other half of the brain asleep, looking in the other direction. So you can see how important it is. Humans, for example, we're quite unique. We sleep quite a lot. And we have quite a lot of what's called REM sleep, right? So if you think about it, it makes sense. So if we evolve from primates, REM sleep, what happens when you get REM sleep? You have what's called REM paralysis. Otherwise, you'd be moving around in your sleep and sometimes you do this, but mostly when you sleep, you don't move, you go paralysis. If we're up in a tree, that's a huge problem, right? Because if we have this REM sleep paralysis, we're going to fall out of the tree and get eaten by a predator. So with us humans, we have a lot more REM sleep. And REM sleep, they've now found, is actually just as important as deep sleep. Everyone thought deep sleep was important, but it turns out they're both equally important, especially in learning and memory consolidation. Now also, when we sleep, our brain actually cleans itself via a system called the glymphatic system. So what happens, these plumbing actually opens up and cerebrospinal fluid flows through our brain and it flushes out toxins, right? And the accumulation of these toxins over time not only makes us feel horrible, but it's really dangerous and makes us vulnerable to neurodiseases, which nobody wants. And we also know that when you're well slept, you will process emotions better. So often when we're dreaming, what our brains are actually doing is they're running over scenarios and they're flattening emotions. Okay guys, now some practical advice on sleeping. How can we use this, right? So we like to think our bodies thrive on spontaneity. They don't. They thrive on routine. So we do the best when we go to bed at the same time and we get up at the same time. Probably the most important point. If you do one thing from this video, that would be it. Most people don't do that. We're on devices and we've got artificial light, which messes that up for us. Okay, now the other one, another big one is blue light. So blue light is the light that comes from the sun. It comes from artificial lights, LED lights, particularly your phone, computer screens. Now, the problem we have is artificial light and blue light in our eyes at night causes problems. So scientists have found on the back of our eyes blue light receptors. So what happens when the blue light goes in, our melatonin, our sleep chemical reduces, and we don't sleep as well due to that. Now, most of us, especially young people these days, are on phones at night. We have bright lights, and this really screws up our melatonin levels and is a huge problem. So typically 2 hours before bedtime, we need to keep the lights low, just have lamps on in the house, works pretty well. And if we are going to use our phone, and I realize some people will, we want the screen as dull as possible, and we can put an app on called, there's one called Twilight, where it reduces the blue light coming out of your phone. Puts a bit of a red tinge. It's not perfect, but it does definitely help. So conversely, red light, that's the kind of light we get sitting around a fire. So if you've ever sat around a fire at night, you'll know that sort of light doesn't wake you up. Okay, that's the opposite. Now, okay, the other side of this is blue light. We want blue light in the morning. So blue light, it'll make us feel awake at that moment, getting light in our eyes. But what it will also do is set us up for proper sleep that night. Okay, now typically what we want is to go outside for 15 minutes, and I don't mean go and look at the sun, for example, don't get light in your eyes that way, but just being in a bright environment for about 15 minutes before 10 o'clock in the morning is good. Now, to give you some examples with this, a typical room in a normal house has somewhere between 300 and 500 lux of light, which isn't bad. But if you go outside, even on a cloudy day, you will have over 1,500 lux of light, considerably more. A sunny day can have over 100,000 lux of light. All right, so on a sunny day, you might even get enough with sunglasses on. But if it's cloudy, get out there without your sunglasses, obviously, and get that light in your eyes. It helps with that night. One thing on this, grocery stores, if you stop in at the supermarket on your way home from work when it's dark, or you go to the supermarket not long before bed for that ice cream trip, supermarkets can have over 1,000 lux of light. Those horrible LED lights they have can really screw up your melatonin levels and make you not sleep well that night. Another one is exercise. Now, particularly with exercise, unaccustomed exercise works well. So that means exercise you're not used to, obviously. So when I was young, I used to snowboard a bit, and I wouldn't be able to go often, but when I did go to the mountains and snowboard, I would be completely exhausted that night because I'm doing exercise all day that I'm not used to. Exercise that you're used to, it's still good, but it's not as good as unaccustomed exercise. And the other thing is your sleep window. Now, what I mean by that is most people need between 7 and 9 hours sleep. So like we said before, nearly everybody needs that. Okay, people think that they can get by on less, but usually their health will suffer in the long run, even if they don't feel too tired. Now, to get, say, 8 hours sleep, for example, we need to allow a 9-hour sleep window. One, it takes us time to get to sleep. But the other thing is, well, we can't go to sleep under pressure. If we push it to the last minute, I know we're all busy and this happens, but we push it into the night and then it's like, I've got to go to sleep, I've got to go to sleep. It doesn't work. We have to just let sleep happen. And that works well when we're not under pressure. Okay, so that's my 2 cents on sleeping. I hope that helps. I feel like these videos are important to constantly remind ourselves about these tricks or these important health topics. And I figure if we're watching these videos, we're doing them and we're hopefully following some of what we're talking about. It's a little bit outside my normal advice, but I hope it helps. And if it does, consider subscribing and liking the video, and I'll see you in the next one.